So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to get one of my favourite artists and vocalists on the show today. It's the incredible Vivi Brown. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Really good, thank you. We were just
You well?
talking then. Obviously, you're in lockdown and you're doing homeschooling at the moment, which is obviously a lot of people are in the same boat, and it's a new experience for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that is going okay. And I just commend and have so much more respect for teachers. I mean, I always did have masses of amounts of respect for them, but I think during this process it has really kind of like opened my eyes. But yeah, we're getting on with it quite well, and yeah, we're just taking it day by day. And you know, to all the parents out there, just be kind to yourself and just take it day by day, because it's okay to say it's difficult at times. So yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to talk now about your music. And one thing I did want to kind of ask you, because when I speak to a lot of people, it wasn't always their kind of original career choice when they were growing up. So when you were growing up, was music always the kind of career that you wanted to do, or did you study for something else?
Music was always what I wanted to do. I was one of those annoying children who was sort of quite overconfident about wanting to do music. At the time, I remember being around 5 or 6. I couldn't really sing. I couldn't really play. I was probably awful. But I just knew, I just had this conviction, this really insanely deep passion for music. And I can't really remember a time in my life where I wanted to do anything else. And yeah, I was just obsessed with trying to perform. So I feel really blessed that I've been able to do that as a career, but it's always been there from day one.
Quite early on for you, you had a lot of interest in regards to you as a singer with different record companies, and I know you were getting a lot of attention from people. Is it true you actually turned down some record deals when you were studying?
Yeah, I mean, my road through music is a long, windy one. So when I was 17, I got offered a record deal by Gut Records. I'm not even sure if they're around anymore. And my mother, who's a teacher, she wanted me to go and finish my A levels and kind of go down the route of university, just to get a bit of stability or whatever. And so I turned that down. And then when I was 18, I was a bit rebellious, and I said to Mum, I don't want to go to university. I really want to pursue music. So she gave me a year. She said, you've got 1 year to try and get a record deal. And if you get a record deal in that year, then you don't have to go to university. And if you don't get a record deal, then you are going to university. So we had a deal. And in that year, I got signed to Polydor Records. I moved to London and did the whole singer-songwriter in every bar. But then I was signed to Polydor for about 3 years, and that didn't work for me. I actually got dropped from Polydor. I moved to Los Angeles. My ego was inflated. I was, going through all of those motions of thinking, yes, this is my moment where I'm going to be able to release a record. And it all fell flat on my face, and I lost everything. I lost my deal. I lost my house. I lost everything. And I ended up back to square one again. And then after that, I moved back to London and tried again. And it was 3 years of trying again, going into bars with my piano on my back and a one-string guitar. That's when the one-string guitar came in. And eventually, after 3 years of trying again, and everyone telling me, oh, you're never going to get a deal again, it's never going to happen, I got signed to Island Records, which was the beginning of my journey for making Traveling Like the Light. And a lot of people think that it just started there for me, but it really didn't. It was there's a whole chapter of my life before that time of me trying to release a record.
I mean, for you, when going back to Polydor, what was that like in the sense where you must have had all these kind of industry experts giving you compliments, you know, and like you said, kind of inflating your ego as such, and then that situation happens. That must be difficult to deal with because you've had this notion that, oh, you know, I'm going to be the star. They believe in me. Then all of a sudden, this company that have given you so much confidence, it has just dropped you. So what did that do for you as an artist? Did it make you more determined to actually go forward and succeed and, you know, and make something?
It was the best thing that could have happened to me, if I'll be honest. It was incredibly humbling. I think it made me realize what mattered. I think that at the time I was very young. I didn't know who I was as an artist, and I was being catapulted into this like very egotistical industry. I think I was getting a bit big-headed as well. I remember coming back from LA and being all like, oh my God, like kind of thing. And my family kind of like thinking, you're in Northampton, it's Christmas, this isn't LA. So it kind of really brought me right back down to earth. It made me understand the industry from many perspectives. It made me understand about how to manage your money. It made me understand about what it means to try and be an authentic artist. It made me learn about the industry and not allowing yourself to be molded and told who you are. So it was a really traumatic situation, because obviously you have a dream and you're just so close to touching it, like just like I'm touching my fruit bowl right now, you know, just very close to releasing that, you know, that dream, you know, being and hanging around people like, you know, I've got stories for days. I've written a book about it, but, you know, hanging out with Kanye West when he was making his second album and him showing you his video, Jesus Walks, and saying, what do you think about that? And all of these like crazy stories. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. It really sets the tone to make you appreciate and know what you want. And so we're Traveling Like the Light. I really homed into myself about what I really wanted to make and do and who I was. And to be honest, to try and be a nice person in the industry, to try and not let all the bullshit, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah, no,
so
that's fine. Yeah,
that.
No, of course, okay. That's fine.
Okay. You know, all the bullshit and all the vanity and all of that stuff that can easily come along with this journey, which sometimes some artists can get caught up in. Yeah, I kind of tried to steer away. I was a little bit of a hipster wanker sometimes back then in my I'm not gonna lie. There were moments, but you know, you're young and you grow up. But yeah, it was really a really good experience for me, despite it being quite traumatic.
I mean, talk about Traveling Like the Light. That's when I first discovered you as an artist. And I mean, it's over 10 years now since the album was released. And my God, you listen back to it now, and it's like it's not aged at all. It's just one of those incredible albums. And what I loved about the album is it was so different. You had songs like Love, and then you had Shark in the Water. There was different songs to transport you to different places. And it genuinely stands out for me in the last, you know, 10 years as one of the strongest, most different albums out there. And it's one that I go back to quite regularly. You must be so proud when you look back at that, because that literally defines who you are as an artist in one album.
Yeah, I mean, making albums is such a funny thing because they are true photographs of what you're doing and going through and feeling in that moment. And it's funny because sometimes your most successful record defines you forever. And now I've got tits down to the ground, 2 kids, and I'm like, you know, I'm like a completely different person in a sense. So, but I'm still me, you know, I'm still Vivi, you know. But that album definitely was was and is a cornerstone of who I am, and I am very grateful for that record. And it was such a wonderful, exciting record to make. And what you're hearing in that record is 6 years of the tension prior, and then this release of creativity and realization of me having the freedom to really be myself. In that moment. I mean, we evolve as artists, we change as artists. As you can tell with my albums that have followed, they've been quite different. But that album was the beginning of me finding creativity, like real creativity. And at the moment, you know, I teach at a university. I do popular music and teach students who are trying to find themselves and discover themselves. And I never had that. I never had the opportunity as a young artist to just sit back and find out who I was, very much like a lot of the students that I'm teaching. And I tell my students, enjoy that process where you're not in the public eye or releasing music. Enjoy discovering who you are and make mistakes and change and all those kind of things. Because I was kind of doing it whilst being inside an industry, if you know what I'm saying. So traveling like the light was my moment of, oh, okay, I'm understanding myself now. I'm kind of getting it. So I am very proud of that album. And I played it to my kids the other day, because I'm starting to try and show them what mummy kind of does for a living, because they're asking me things like, you know, mummy, what do you do? And I'm just, you know, I don't want them to just think I'm this crazy lunatic who's like cooking their dinner all the time and like twerking in the kitchen. So I'm sort of, I'm starting to reference those things, and it's nice to listen back, and it just still for me, it still feels like it holds up. It still feels true to me. Yeah.
I mean, well, and the great thing about the album was it kind of catapulted you into people's lives, and people really got to know who you are. And when you were appearing on different TV shows and live concerts, you were very good at showcasing who you are as well, you know, with the energetic performances, the incredible fashion. That must have been another side for you, because you do seem like a really creative person. So to get to go out there and perform and dress, you know, the way that you do, which is incredible, you must have loved that, you know, the creativity and the freedom.
It was so fun, and it was I felt so fortunate and lucky, and to be able to be given that opportunity is a blessing. It really is. And I loved it. Out of everything, out of writing, out of the fashion side of it, the best bit for me is live. I love performing live, and those touring and performing and meeting people. Oh, I used to spend so much time after my gigs just like talking to people, and my tour manager would be like, come on, V, you're not really supposed to be, you're supposed to be like VV Brown. And I would be like, oh, and I enjoyed talking and meeting people who had bought the record, and I just missed that bit so much. And yeah, I felt very honored to be able to do that side of it, just tour and perform. And yeah, so yeah, it's a blessing. Every day I'm grateful, every day.
I mean, in the years that followed, of like, you know, you said you worked on more material, you had albums, but I know there was is it Lollipops and Politics, and that was an album that you worked on, but there was a dilemma, it was unreleased. I mean, what happened around that album? Because I remember you, when you were talking about it originally, you were so passionate about this, and there was a lot of work that went in, but then, you know, it was unreleased. So what happened around that album?
There's a lot politically that happened in regards to label issues, presidents changing at labels, me not quite being happy with the way that the product was being presented from a visual point of view. For example, the children's video, which I don't know if is up there anymore. I think I'll have to check it out. Sorry. But the children's, we released one song called Children, and the music video that we originally did was awful. And so my husband, who's a filmmaker at the time, he wasn't my husband, he was just my we just went over to LA with a 5D camera, and we shot the music video that's available and out ourselves. because I just hated the original video, which they spent ridiculous amounts of money on, which I just thought was bizarre. And the music video that we made actually got used, and I think so there was a lot of tensions and a lot of changes, and for it all sort of kind of all the dots clicked together with the album not being released. But everything happens for a reason. And when things don't always go the way that you expect, it doesn't always necessarily mean it's not the way it should be. Because after that record, Samson and Delilah came, and I think that's one of the best albums for personally for me as a songwriter. So yeah, but Lollipops and Politics is going to be available exclusively to our Kickstarters. We're doing a Kickstarter campaign to celebrate the 10 years of Traveling Like the Light. You can click on Kickstarter VV Brown if you want to find out those awards.
Well, there's incredible rewards though, isn't there? I mean, one of them, you actually perform a concert for people. There's literally, when I looked it up, and the amount of rewards that you can have, whether it's signed merchandise, Zoom concerts, concert at home, it's just incredible. So yeah, tell us the kind of reason for this and how people can get involved, because it is a really exciting project.
Yes, so it's been 10 years and I wanted to do something to celebrate those 10 years. It was officially 10 years last year, but I was pregnant and I wasn't able to fulfill a lot of those commitments. Yeah. So I had to cancel the potential and the possibility of that. So I thought to myself, yeah, let's do it this year. Let's celebrate this. And I just put together a whole load of rewards that I thought would connect. And I just wanted it to feel personal as well. Like, I don't just want to have, vinyl and people just getting physical things. I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. There's someone that's even bought a dinner. I'm cooking.
Really? What, you're cooking for them?
Yes, I'm cooking.
No way.
So there's a dinner for that reward went a few days ago. It's a group of 5 people, and obviously, yeah, I'm cooking for them, and I want to. My husband thinks I'm a bit like, what? But I want to meet people, and we're all human beings. I just don't believe in this this whole celebrity thing. Is a delusion, is not real. We're people, we share music. I've made music and you're listening to my music, we're sharing it together. So for me, a lot of the rewards are quite personal, and I just want to come across like a human being to my fans, and for us to just share this moment together authentically, not just a page, where you get stuff. Let it be something where we're actually meeting and engaging, and there's that opportunity and that choice for people, and all of the funds we raise will help to go towards making the next record, and then we can continue this process. I know a few years back there was something, or I stated, I'm quitting the music industry kind of thing. It did come out a few years ago, but I'm not.
It's one of those things though, isn't it? You're so passionate about it, and I think at times things can get on top of you, and when you've worked so hard and sometimes maybe it doesn't go the way that you work so hard, you're thinking, why isn't this taken off? And it's easy just to kind of say, do you know what, I've had enough. But actually that passion, that burning desire will always come back out, and thank goodness it has with you.
Yeah, I mean, my reasoning for leaving was simply because I'd spent 10 years touring and chasing after music. I hadn't done anything else. I'd never done a degree. I had all these other things that I wanted to explore. I wanted to try and find the different side of myself that I'd never really found, like hobbies and stuff. And I just had a baby, so I really wanted to dive into motherhood. So when I gave out that statement, I think it was a way of me saying, I've lived my life in these same shoes. I want to explore other things. I think the way that I should have really framed my Instagram post at the time was more like I was taking a break.
Yeah.
But it kind of came across a little bit too definite. But you know, the thing about it is, as human beings, we move, we change, we're passionate, we cry, we eat, we all of these emotions. I mean, oh Lord, my plant. all of sorry, all of these emotions are natural states of being, and so I think, yeah, we're riding life together. And I'm really excited about coming back with music. There's a lot to say. Sometimes as artists as well, we when you just do back-to-back albums, sometimes you're not really living.
Yeah.
You're not really experiencing like real stuff like gardening, crying, but all these like real humanistic things. Life just becomes a tour bus. How are you supposed to draw on true emotions and real creativity when you're not even living? So the last 6 years, I feel like I've just been Vanessa. I've just been living. So there's a lot of experiences for me to draw upon now, for me to make an exciting record that is really authentic. And I think it's time now for me to do that.
And would you say those experiences and becoming a mother has actually changed who you are as an artist in some way? Because you've experienced different things. So has it kind of given you a different outlook, and has that affected the way you are as an artist, be it in a positive way?
100%. Becoming a mother puts a bolt up your butt like you'd never realize, and it brings you down to earth in such a beautiful, powerful, spiritual way that you look at the world in a way that you have never seen it before. Anything pretentious or vain or pointless that doesn't serve something better is not in my interest anymore. I sometimes look at my previous life before children and think, I mean, what was I doing? And when I say that, I mean, I had all this time pre-children. I mean, I think I used it quite wisely, but when I say that, I just value it. It just really makes you change. I don't get so worried about the things I used to get worried about. I don't need validation in the same way from the public or from people who are into music. In my 20s, I was constantly needing to be validated by chart positions and press pages and whether people would buy my music. When you have children, when a baby comes out of your vagina, you do not think about those things anymore.
I love the way you literally just say it as it is. You're probably one of the funniest guests that we've ever had on the show.
Sorry.
I mean, another thing, I'm not sure if I'm right in saying this, but whilst you're doing everything else, being a mum, working on music, you published a children's book. Is that correct?
Yes.
I was just say what inspired you. It's obvious what it did, but how did it come about? Because that's to get a book published is a big thing.
Yes. So I'm very excited about this. So I found it really difficult to find books for my children who are dual heritage. And I wanted to contribute to the narrative that there is a need for more diverse books within the publishing sector. I had this idea years ago, 6 years ago, and I went to a lot of publishers to try and get the book published, but we got emails saying that they didn't think a book with a character who was Black or dual heritage would sell. And I kind of put it to bed. I was horrified, but I was so tired and, didn't want the fight. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave this and wait. And then with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's been happening this year, I just felt really compelled to do it. And so we published it ourselves. I set up my own publishing company called Woke Kids Publishing, and we released the books ourselves through that company, and it's in Waterstones, WH Smith. You can get on Amazon, just like any book now. And for me, it's a much bigger picture than just me doing a children's book. I just want children of all races. It's not just about giving books that are catered to Black children or dual heritage children, or it's about all children just being able to see different versions of themselves. Even a white child reading this book will be inspired, just the same a black
Yeah.
child will read this book and feel empowered. And so I'm little old me. I'm not Julia Donaldson by any means, but who wrote the Gruffalo and all the sort of like iconic children's books. But I just thought I needed to do my part. And when I watch my own children, when they read the book as well, and they know that mummy has written them a book inspired by them, it's such a great feeling. And I collaborated with an awesome illustrator called Kate Hazel, who I have to mention because she's just incredible. And she did the illustrations for the book too.
So will you be looking to do more? Obviously, you've done one now. So will there be more of these? Is it something you're looking to maybe do as a series?
100%. So the book's intention was always a series. So Lily and the Magic Comb, she goes to space in the first book, and we're hoping to go and climb mountains, go under the sea. And the dream is for it to eventually be on CBeebies with me as Lily. I'm just joking.
Do you know, I just love though that when you set your mind to something, be it a record label or you just set up your own instead of going to, I'm just going to make my own publishing company. I think you need to go on The Apprentice as opposed to anything else.
Oh man, I would absolutely love to go on that show. I'm like my parents. They came to this country from Jamaica and they set up a private school, something that is very unusual for a black couple to do. A private school, it's a white institution. They come to this country, they set up a successful school, and I've watched them work so hard. And so it's all the Browns in our family, all the 6 siblings out there, we've all got this very kind of like grafty mentality. My mum has always taught us, if someone tells you no, obviously if someone says no, it's no. But if someone says you can't do something that you're passionate about and that you believe in, it is not no. You have to continuously persist to make that dream happen. And the one thing I've learned with that process is that success is about what you define it to be as well. So you can be persistent, but when you reach that goal, remember, success is what you define it to be. So for me, I'm really content. When we got the book in Waterstones, I'm tap dancing in the park. I'm so happy that we did just that, So yeah, you just got to make it happen. Life is short. We will all die one day. When you're on your deathbed, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? You want to say that I tried and I did the things that I wanted to do. Yeah.
That's cheered everyone up.
Sorry.
Do you know, sorry. Last week we interviewed Shingai from the Noisettes, and we told her that you were coming on the show, and she absolutely loves your music. As soon as I mentioned your name, she screamed and was, "Oh my god, I love Vivi," and she follows you on Instagram. So I had to mention that because she's a huge fan. But obviously you've got your books, and we can expect more music from you. Is there anything else that you're working on that you can tell us about?
Yes, so I have been working on my book, my own memoir book. I've been writing it for years. Now, it sounds really big-headed and really annoying when I say it like that. Oh, yes, I've been writing a book about me. But honestly, it's not like that, but it kind of is. So yeah, I've been writing this book since 2004, 5, like literally as soon as I got into the music industry, I was writing a diary basically. And I haven't stopped writing that diary, which has been so awesome because all the little details that you can forget in your memories, I've been writing them down. Even things like the color of hotel walls, or like the way my bed felt in the hotel room that I stayed in on my first day of going to a recording studio, all those little things. So I've been putting them together to finally release this book. And it's going to be a memoir and a self-help book for musicians who want to get into the music industry. So they'll see and read about my experiences, but it will guide them on how to navigate based upon my many mistakes.
I love that though. I
So
love
yeah,
that
so
you're. I think it's incredible. I love the
sorry.
way that you're taking your experiences, and just to hear at the beginning of the interview that you actually learned from something that at the time probably felt really bad, but actually you turned it around, and that ended up defining, who you are. And the fact that now you're giving back, and you're acknowledging that, things that could have gone better, and you're putting it together. And I think actually the book will be incredible because hearing you talk today, you've been on the show for half an hour now, and the stories are incredible. And I think to actually read them would be brilliant. I guess are you going to publish it on your own?
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
amazing.
I'm going to publish it myself. And I tell you what, the weird thing about my career, and I hope I'm not babbling on because I tend to be a
No,
bit,
no.
is I've had this strange kind of like pendulum of normality and fame, the concept of fame. I can go to Tesco's and where I live, and everyone's like, "Who's that? Who's that? Excuse me, please. Excuse me, get my potatoes, please." And then I can go to like another place, and people will ask for my auto. I've had a really strange, weird, polarized pendulum of what it means to be, I guess, famous, and I hate that word. But at the same time, during the journey, I've also been a fly on the wall because I've had so many experiences where I've kind of like just about to release my record and been hanging around some of the most massive artists you could ever think of, which I guess is quite normal when you're in the industry because, it's your workplace. But honestly, I tell my husband some stories and he's like, "Are you joking?" He's like, "I can't believe that." Little things like Amy Winehouse, may rest her soul in peace, her album Back to Black, for instance. I was there throughout the whole process, and we would share a taxi together, on the back of a taxi, just talking together. And there's just countless stories of lessons and love and learning about people. And Kanye West, for instance, I will always have compassion for him because I remember when I met him and who he was away from the mental health and the media. And I just want to get these stories out. And all the stories are always, they're never to bring anyone down. Sometimes people write memoirs where they say gossipy things that bring people down.
Yeah.
All of the stories and the things that I've experienced and people I've met, it will all just bring love and light and somehow just lift things up. And I can't wait if the 10 people who might buy it
I'll definitely be
enjoy the book.
getting a copy. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. In the link description below, we're going to put a link to where people can actually go and pledge. And the prizes are insane. It's the best pledge prizes I've ever seen because, like you said, it is so personal. And for people that just want a chance to have kind of an exclusive concert with their friends and have you perform, it's probably something you'd never think would ever happen. So I think what you've done is incredible. And I think, again, what you've done is incredible with the book and the way that you've come back. And I just love hearing what you're speaking about. And I'm looking forward to the new music from you.
Brilliant. Well, it's been lovely talking to you as well. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show. And anytime you want to chat again, I'm here.